For the balance of the hour, we're joined here by Sean Stone, who really doesn't need any introduction. He's probably been on the show 7, 8 times over the years. Got a chance to get to know him well working on the Jesse Ventura last season. And, of course, also admire a lot of the work his dad's done with films like JFK and so many others. But his father recently, in fact, I forgot to tell you guys to pull the clip up of you have it, you remembered, in Japan. That's not why I got him on, but it's interesting saying Obama is a snake, time to turn on him. Again, that's something that a lot of the progressives and real liberals don't have the nerve to do, but Sean Stone does. As really a historian, he's got his award-winning series on history. But usually when I get Sean Stone on, it's not about his dad because he's done a lot of stuff on his own right. And I'll imagine down the road when my son's doing interviews, he'll be sick of hearing about me. But that is newsworthy, what your dad has said. I think that's a good segue into Syria. Your take on the state of the world, Sean Stone. What do you make of your father's bold stance and why he said that?
Hey, Alex. I think he came to the realization in the course of this history series as to what Obama's really about. You know, we said it last year, you and I, when we did the Impeach Obama video. And actually, you know, I want to reiterate the fact that, remember, in the Impeach Obama video, we started out by saying that Congressman Walter Jones said that if Obama commits us to war in Syria without going through Congress, he should be impeached. And that was 1 year ago. So it's important to remind people that we were you know, on point then, and it's still relevant, and it's still an important source for people to go to and look at, as the Impeach Obama 2012 video, or go to impeachobama2012.com. So I think now even more, 1 year later, we were a little bit ahead of the curve there. But now even, you know, people like my father are coming out and saying, and I think many people feel that way, more and more probably from both left and right.
You're absolutely right, and Walter Jones is coming on later in the week, and he does have that bill introduced. I think this is a sea change moment where the establishment is really being seen for what they are, where the public is taking the red pill, are putting on the sunglasses like in They Live.
Like in They Live, like exactly, which we'll get into soon. But yeah, I mean, that's why Tyrell Ventura, Jesse Ventura's son, and I have been working on this show called Buzzsaw, which we feel is a continuation of conspiracy theory, because as you know, Tyrell and I took over a lot of the duties on conspiracy theory in the last season of doing the interviews while Jesse was unable to travel. And so now on Buzzsaw, we kind of do, you know, our alternative media, kind of like what you do with our, you know, with the guests that we want to bring on. We have interviews, and it's once a week on you know, usually we air on the weekends. But that's getting, you know, that's growing and following, and you know, hopefully the point is that, you know, shows like yours, like ours, the alternative media in general, RT's doing a lot of good news. The point is that people in the United States are just not realizing the fact, the amount of that they have been, let's say, you know, the They Live phenomenon of putting the sunglasses on. The American people don't realize how much that has occurred to them. You see, we don't get to travel as easily. We're cut off from the rest of the world for the most part. So we don't have that interaction. Whereas, you know, in Europe, you can travel very easily from country to country within a couple hours. The Middle East is very close by. You get access to Russia Today, Al Jazeera, alternative media sources, BBC, that gives different points of view. Here in America, we're very cut off. So I think the point is for the internet talk shows and you know, alternative media to get across, to get people another perspective on what's really happening in the world and how much the media really is what controls our perception of reality.
And so we need to become the media. We need to create art and information and analysis from a truthful perspective to counter the lies. If we all just start doing it, it's over. And by the way, I've seen some of your shows on Buzzsaw, very, very interesting. Tell folks about that.
Well, Buzzsaw is sponsored by the Lip.tv, which is an online, I guess you'd say, online studio. So the Lip, you know, came to us and just said they're doing talk shows. They want, you know, talk-oriented content. And obviously, when it comes to Tyrell Ventura and I, we're very, you know, we're talking to people. We'll get in there, but we want to talk about conspiracies. We want to talk about, you know, the alternative, the Snowden case and the Bradley Manning case by speaking with Daniel Ellsberg, for example. We talked to Jeremy Scahill about the 30 Wars. We also even went to the UFO phenomenon and talked to people like Steve Bassett, who was sponsoring the Citizens Hearing on Disclosure on aliens, bringing 40 plus people from the military, from all walks of government life, to talk about their encounters with some kind of UFO phenomenon or strange anomalies. So we get into all these different.
We're doing a lot of interesting stuff. Wow, yeah. Sean Stone joins us right now. I want to play this clip since we mentioned it of your father just a few weeks ago in Japan, speaking out and saying it's time to turn on Obama. Here's that clip.
Obama is a snake. He's a snake, and we have to turn on him. I know he likes snakes, but...
And that's the short clip. Everybody's probably seen the long clip. It's up on INFOWARS.com. We played it a few weeks ago, but the point here is that the reason you got to turn on Obama is he's the more effective of evils. He's able to sell the globalist agenda, whereas a stuffy George Bush or Bill Clinton couldn't do it as well. It's the cult of Obama must be destroyed. Do you agree with that, Sean Stone? And let's talk about the latest developments in Syria.
Yeah, 100% I agree. I think that the point is that he's the great deceiver, and that's why people have called him the Antichrist or whatnot, because he's the one who promises hope and change, but he comes from a completely deceptive point. In fact, I believe that he's either under hypnosis or I'm pretty sure, 100% sure he uses hypnosis in his speeches.
Oh, he does NLP. That's on record.
Yeah, 100%. But whether or not he all himself is hypnotized or under mind control, that's another possibility. And I'm not entirely sure what he is, because to me, Obama is a phenomenon that doesn't exist. No one quite knows who he is.
No one knows who he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very mysterious. Almost like Hitler, if you think about the context. If someone who had that, well, again, always they bring foreign entities, don't they? Whether it's Stalin from a Georgian taking over Russia, whether it's Napoleon Bonaparte from Corsica taking over France, whether it's Hitler from Austria taking over Germany, Obama not from the United States taking over the United States. It's interesting to see these similarities historically. But when I say Hitler, I just mean the fact that he had this, as Hitler does, Obama has this tremendous ability to make people listen and believe him when he speaks. And it's a very persuasive form of hypnosis that he uses, and far more dangerous than Bush's, because Bush was basically a jackass, and he knew it, and he spoke that way, and you knew what it was. You knew the quantity that it was. Obama, you don't really know how evil this guy can get.
Very well said. I see this, though, as the Matrix collapsing, or as I said, putting the sunglasses on like They Live, that we'll talk about with Mr. Piper coming up there in the next hour. But, I mean, I can't believe that it's all over the news, false flag. Not just Ron Paul or Rand Paul or Pat Buchanan, but all these other hosts are saying it, and all these analysts are saying it, and every military officer I talk to, on or off record, says false flag, and we don't want to work with Al-Qaeda. I mean, I've never seen such a rout. And a month ago, the Pentagon came out and said, we're losing the info war. No one believes us. I mean, this really is amazing.
I think, Alex, to be honest with you, I think this gives credit to the movement that you, my father, Jesse Ventura, and I, and whatnot, I'm a continuation of, Tyrell Ventura's a continuation of.
All of us together.
This has all been building towards, is that since the point that we became aware that the New World Order was a real phenomenon, and these guys, have had this long-term agenda of shifting America away from a republic into this kind of imperial world policeman, which most Americans do not want to see, right? Any real American doesn't want to see the United States becoming the world's policeman. As we've seen this New World Order phenomenon, take place, we've been fighting it. There's many others who are fighting the war. And the fact is that as a result, it's like the collective consciousness is kind of, I believe, shifting, and people are starting to wake up. And it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's where we are now, is that point of, we're not going to be, you can't keep fooling the American public.
I agree with you. So what do you expect to happen now, short-term, mid-term, long-term? I mean, I think they're going to do everything they can to try to put us back in the box, but every angle I look at, there's no way they're going to end up beating us in the end. It's going to get really nasty, but I don't see them winning.
I don't see them winning. I believe that what's happened, I think the real, motivation behind the Syria war, I mean, if you look at the Syria war from a strategic point of view, it's World War III, right? I mean, the point is that the Americans say, hey, we're going to hit Syria, and then the Russians say, well, okay, we're going to retaliate against Saudi Arabia. And the Iranians, you don't know what they're going to do, right? Will they just arm Hezbollah against Israel or whatnot? The point is that you get a conflagration. If the Russians, and with or without the Chinese, if the Russians alone get involved in the Middle East because of Syria, right? You have now World War III occurring. Whether it becomes nuclear or not, we don't know.
Stay there. Let's talk about what all the experts are saying. I agree with you. That's why Dempsey's telling Obama not to do it. And Dempsey's known to be a warmonger, by the way. They kept getting rid of chairman to get somebody who'd go along with it, and now Dempsey's getting all the intel and goes, no, because, folks, Assad's going to pull out all those Russian weapons and just start blasting Israel. Then Israel's going to take the gloves off, and all hell is going to break loose.